what's the starving audience that you can provide the most impact with? Because then they're going to get more value and you can charge more because the value's way up here. So an example with this is, like I said, money and time, interchangeable. So why this has been in the forefront of my mind this week is I've been revisiting what's become one of my favorite books, $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. Gone through it a bunch of times. I've shared with my mastermind. And yeah, that's one of the things that it really speaks to. And by the way, it's $100 million offers. Tagline is how to make offers so good people feel stupid saying no. And he's created his companies do over $100 million a year. And so it has some kind of like, not counterintuitive, but just different approach than a lot of things. And which has helped him be successful in this way. So one of the things is like, okay, and pairing this with your zone of genius, like your unique passion, your unique purpose, you could be speaking to somebody that's not their passion or they don't value those things. And that could make you feel like, oh, this doesn't have any value. For example, I felt that for a while when I was really going through my spiritual journey, and I still am, like, and I would be talking to people who haven't scratched the surface on their spiritual journey yet. So it was like there was zero value there. And what I learned out is that, they'd always be like, yeah, okay, that's fine, but like, where do we make the money? I'm like, well, what about like your purpose, your mission, your passion? And so what I found out over many years, and it was painful, that they needed to go and make more money and go on more trips enough times where they'd start asking themselves, is this all there is? And once that started happening, maybe go on some more trips, and then finally they're ready. And to be like, okay, well, let's talk about this inner game. So I found that out over many years. Now, the reason why I bring that up, so like with your zone of genius, your passion, your purpose, your skill set, who is the starving audience for what you bring to the table? And because really what we're looking at here, just like we do at the end of our 1 hour webinar here, so we look at like, what's the one thing, the 80-20 rule. What's the 80-20 of the 80-20, which is that top 4%. So really focusing on this from the money side of things, it's like, who are those people in that 4%, that's so hungry for what you, for your genius, for your gifts? What does that arrangement look like? Because then the prosperity flows so much more easier. So let's go ahead and just touch base here, and I'm going to see what would be a good question to ask, which is number one, and I'm going to share a few, so feel free to pick which one resonates with you. Number one, let me know in the chat, do you have an idea of your starving audience? Number one. Number two, yeah, let's just go with that. Do you have an idea? And if no, that's okay. I worked with a mastermind group for like a year for us to like dial every person's in. So I'm seeing like, how can we simplify that and shorten that? And as the chats are coming in here, see, Michael says, finding two, okay? Busy, successful entrepreneurs who need the results of networking but can't put the time into networking. Interesting, yep. And the other is neurodiverse people who need to learn what they have, a gift, not a curse. Interesting. Yeah, okay. So once you have an idea of yours, there's a couple things to look at. It's like, number one, is there a size difference? Is one a very small group of people, or is one like a bigger pool of people? Because if there's a bigger pool of people, of course, that helps your the prosperity flow for your gifts. Number two is, Do they want to pay for it? You know, like, are they already thinking like, oh man, I got to pay for this. I have a starving audience means like I'm hungry for the solution. Two things are valid of it. Jolene shared really trying to focus on parenting, so it's challenging to think a whole lot outside of that. Yeah, absolutely. That is a full-time deal from what I hear. So Michael says one has money, one doesn't. Mostly the ones who do have a lot. Yeah, and I think that's too. So like really taking a page out of the book of Silicon Valley startups. You know, like they oftentimes have a huge moonshot vision of helping, you know, hitting mass market in a huge way. They also know that they got to take steps of like, all right, we're going to really niche down into this group and really serve them, get the money flowing, and then build out and go wider and wider and wider. And to share an example with this too, like with the True Freedom team software, we want to have it where it's available for teams all over. But starting out, the biggest impact, the starving crowd, is purpose-driven marketing agencies. I mean, that's the journey that I went. Purpose-driven marketing agencies who have a remote team, like very precise compared to say teams, just in general. So that's the thing that I'd like to bring us into the flow state experience here, the subconscious clearing, is to clear anything away from us finding our starving audience who sees you for your value, who appreciates your experience, and who is really waiting for, really looking for your skills, your expertise. Because as that happens, then it's a key piece of true freedom. Okay. So let me know if there's any other questions on that for now as we go in. We're actually doing pretty good on time, so we could field a few more questions if you have any. And it's almost like at the end of our webinars, we say, what's the one thing, you know, that would make everything else way easier or even unnecessary? Today's focus on money and the starving audience. It's almost like, what's the audience? What's the one audience that would make everything way easier or even unnecessary, you know, for them valuing your skill sets? What's the one type of person that's hungriest for what you have? Okay, so let me know if there's any other thoughts, questions, clarity items on that. Otherwise, we'll go into the clearing for today. Or if you need another example. Okay. All right. So let's go in here because there's certain fears that come up. There's certain resistance that comes up when finding our audience, our ideal client audience, our ideal team, our ideal people that receive value from our services. So because the focus here is focus and flow. So having this focus allows the flow to happen much easier. So resistance, let's talk about resistances that come up internally. For example, some might be, well, you know, maybe there's nobody who's starving for my skills or what I have to offer. That's one. Or maybe is, you know, I can't support myself just focusing on one type of person or one audience, one group of people. Maybe I got to do everything for everyone. Or maybe another resistance that comes up is, but I want to help everybody. I want to help everybody. And, you know, I can resonate with that. And really, I just bring myself back. I keep bringing myself back to Silicon Valley. Like, okay, let's help everybody. Yeah, what are the steps? And there's version 1, there's version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5. And we'll get there. But what is the next path being laid out? Other fears that can come up or resistance is you know, who am I? You know, who am I to have something that somebody's starving for? Who am I to have something that somebody's like really hungry for? Okay. Michael shared, you have to help somebody before you can help everybody. Yeah, that's a great point. Yep, and it's building blocks. We don't have to save the world tomorrow. It's a step-by-step deal. And always focusing on our three pillars in the triangle, which is passion, purpose, and prosperity. This is really a prosperity type focus message of the week. We've got the passion, we've got the purpose. Now let's click in that prosperity for it all to flow.